Hello, and see what I have to put up with.
We got a lot of phlegm on that one. Better have a drink.
Yep. Do you have your chips, too?
No, but I do have a very healthy Nature Valley Trail Mix fruit and nut bar. But it's chewy, so it won't make much noise. Except when I get it stuck on my teeth. Excuse me.
Yeah, I get stuffed up in my teeth all the time, too.
Is that like when you have a bit of honey, the only reason you eat it is because, it's the only candy bar you can eat, and then an hour later it's like, oh, there's still more in my mouth.
Yum.
Hello and welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard, the one and only. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires is Joe, Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
Holy shit! I got a free web spinner in my Honey Nut Cheerios. Oh, God, give me that. I got to get inside this box here. Oh, man. I love free stuff, especially... Oh, wow, is this cool?
You mean cereal is giving away prizes again?
I'm sorry, what?
Cereal is giving away prizes again?
Well, at least this one is. Oh, my wife is so cool, bringing me home a box that has a prize in it. I may even eat these.
I hate to say it, Joe, but I always... You know that I admit when I'm wrong, right?
You do? I thought you just cleaned someone's apartment.
If they're putting prizes back in cereal, America has been made great again.
Yes. And it is kind of cool because then you can, it's not in the cereal. It's usually in a bag alongside of it, so you don't even have to open the cereal box.
Do you have an alarm going off?
Me? No.
That must be our special guest.
He's not that special.
Dangerous Dan Mohr is on the line with us. How you doing today, Dan?
I'm sad now. I feel like I've been hurting my special parts.
Well,
Joe just said I'm not worth anything.
Joe likes getting hurt in his special parts.
Sorry, I just checked eBay. You have no real value. Wait a minute. Super Jules just bid on you. Hey!
Oh.
You got that going for you, which is nice.
There you go. I'm doing well, actually.
What is that beeping?
Actually, I don't know what. Hold on, I'll see if I can find out.
Someone is beeping.
Somebody is beeping.
We are a professional podcast here. We can't have extraneous noise. Well, except for like Joe eating and typing and crinkling paper and my fan.
Same with my web spinners.
But other than that, and Joe's sounds.
Take that, Harry Potter Lego game. Gotcha.
All right, I'll see if I think I found it, and I think I shut it off. I'm not. Whoa. I can't shut that off.
Ladies and gentlemen, professional.
Hey, I'm wearing pants. Well, shorts, technically.
When they do the podcasts or audios over on PW Insider, Dave Shearer always wears shorts. And to the point where he says he never wears pants, he only wears shorts. Me, I wore shorts once this year.
Well, I don't want to.
And it was a day when I didn't leave the house. So you're welcome.
I don't want to horn in on his racket. I better take my shorts off. Excuse me a second.
Oh, no.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is where even if you're not religious, get down on your knees and thank God this is not a video podcast.
Wait, knees? I thought that was Wolfie's area.
Oh, I just spent 2 hours talking to Wolfie. Don't bring Wolfie up.
No, I think this is great. I like the fact that he no longer has his shorts on, and I got poked in the eye. It was all good.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
It's just an urban myth.
Hold on, I need to go into therapy.
Can't you self-therapize?
No, I'm not that good a psychiatrist.
You will respect my authority.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing this because we're all off on a Saturday afternoon. And Joe was unable to record the last 2 nights. Joe, what's been going on with you? Why are you blowing off our regular time? I blow it off when I sleep. But
yes, and I sit here wondering what's going on. Wondering. Nope, Cory's napping. Nope, I had a friend.
It's not a nap. It's full-on deep sleep.
She had her birthday is now, so, but they're up in Green Bay celebrating it. So what they did is they had a party.
You celebrate something in Green Bay?
Oh, yeah. And
the only thing I ever celebrated in Green Bay was leaving.
Yep, that's what I would celebrate. But they had a 48-hour and counting party at a local drinking establishment, and so my wife and I went over, and I partook in one drink, but it was nice too. I mean, I wish we had a drink. No, not as bad because she had to go to work. Actually, I take that back. She and a friend the following day canoed from Osceola, Wisconsin, down to Stillwater along the St. Croix River, which is why she's like red like a lobster today, but that's a different subject. I, on the other hand, the Friday that I blew you off, and of course, in the meantime, that's the one day Sharon decides, yeah, let's go out to eat, is the day I signed up to do overtime. Because, I
overtime? I would never put overtime in front of anything in my life.
I put overtime in front of everything. Because, one thing that's fun with money is that I can spend it on things like comics, which we'll get to when we get to geeking.
Money can be exchanged for goods and services.
Wow. Beat you to it.
So now we're recording on a Saturday afternoon after we recorded a couple episodes of a new podcast that Dan and I do. We did episodes 5 and 6 of Bad Advice.
Yeah.
And Dan, why don't you tell people what Bad Advice is?
Oh, God, I just did all the hosting. I didn't want to...
Get to work, fanboy!
With the most.
Yes. Well, Bad Advice is where Cory and Wolfie Be Bad answer questions that are given in by the listener, which could be you. If it's not you, why are you not listening? And why are you not sending in questions? Because they give advice that should not be followed, but they'll give it anyway. And you
say
can find
right
that.
up front, it's bad advice.
Yes, we do.
And I think my vices are awesome.
Wolfie's voice is really awesome.
Yeah. See, it can even be done in song. Thank you, Joe.
Hey, no problem, my
So
friend.
this is like marathon podcasting for me.
Yeah.
What better way to spend a Saturday afternoon when the temperature's not even 75 degrees than sitting inside at a computer with a headset on?
Wait, it's not even 75 degrees out?
No, it's beautiful outside. It's kind of cloudy. It's not very hot.
About 76.
Kids, neighborhood kids are somewhere else, and I don't have to put up with them.
Cory doesn't have to stop every so often and hey, get off my lawn.
No, I gave them the lawn.
Oh.
And you said...
When my neighbors moved in, they said, we've got kids, and our lawn is really small. Would it be okay, if they played in your lawn? And I said, you know what? You can have the lawn as long as you mow it. And it's the greatest arrangement I've ever had in my life. It's glorious.
It's glorious?
Yes. I don't have to mow. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to deal with it.
fact that is the greatest thing in your life is a bit worrisome.
Yep.
You have what
Cory
you like, I have what I like.
That's a new word. When you're worried about what Cory does, it's Corysome. So that'll be a new segment in our podcast. What is your Corysome today?
It's when you add two Corys together.
Please clap.
Oh.
Thank you. You've been
Cory.
a beautiful crowd. We have to keep Jeff
Cory.
Bush employed.
Montessori.
Employ.
Allegory. Call the Cory hotline today.
Sexy story.
So, we're gonna,
Sorry, go ahead.
a couple episodes ago, we started talking about dream lineups.
Dream lineups.
And what it is, there are comics that from Marvel and DC.
They actually make comics?
Yeah. We thought it would be fun to have a dream lineup for Marvel and DC where we go through, and these are some of the books that Marvel and DC have published over the years, and we give the names of the creators that we would like to see work on it. All the rules is that they need to be alive and still working in comics. We're not going to get into whether the creative teams would get along. We're not going to get into whether they can put out a book a month. This is a dream lineup, much like when sports radio people talk about what is the dream lineup for their favorite sports team. And we did about 12 Marvel books. We got through to Doctor Strange. So I gave the dream lineups, and Joe gave feedback, and I don't know. Joe did what Joe does.
I did.
You do. So by the premise, by the bit. The next book that I have on my list is Black Panther. And I would like to see a Black Panther book from writer Don McGregor, who wrote Black Panther in the 70s and then again in the 90s, and artist Mike Mayhew, who mostly does covers now. He does painted covers now, but in the 90s he drew the Zorro series at Topps and the Lady Rawhide series at Topps, and he's done some beautiful covers over the years, and every once in a while he'll do a special comic for Dynamite. But he does a lot of covers for Dynamite and licensed books. And they work together on Zorro, and I would like to see Don McGregor come back and do more Black Panther stuff, because it's a character that's near and dear to his heart, and when he does a Black Panther story, he does stuff that's really brilliant, like Panther's Rage, or Panther versus the Ku Klux Klan, or the Panther's Prey series that he did in the 90s.
I would kind of cover that as well, but I would go more kind of the way WWE goes after international market. I can't pronounce his name, the gentleman doing Black Panther right now.
Ta-Nehisi Coates.
See, what drives me crazy is when you have guys, I'm going to write a comic book in Japan, and they know nothing about Japan, other than what they've read in manga and seen Godzilla step on. So I would actually go and again, I don't necessarily talking manga versions, but what I do is you've got all these characters from around the world, most of them vastly underused, especially now that we don't have Avengers Academy anymore, or there's no Contest of Champion or Secret Wars to just trot them out. Find an Irish writer. There's got to be somebody. Take that Shamrock character from the original whatever, or better yet, make up your own. And I would start probably with miniseries rather than full bore, because you never know if you're going to strike lightning in a bottle. And if you do, you can continue it, kind of like they did with Ms. Marvel. It was supposed to be, 12 issues, and it was doing so good they kept it going. Find some Japanese writer, find someone from India, find someone from anywhere. You know, you want to bring back Excalibur? Fine. I want a British author doing it. So, and then that would also allow you to create international editions. WWE did that where they had the Great Khali from India, who couldn't wrestle with anything, but he was a star and he got people in India to pay attention to WWE. Every so often they'll bring up Mexican wrestlers, which are easy because they can throw a mask on them. So if they wash out, they just put a mask on somebody else. I used to bring a lot of Japanese wrestlers over. Matter of fact, some wrestlers you may wonder where they are. They're over in Japan making a good living if they can't cut it with WWE because they're kind of like the only one in town. So kind of go with that type of flavor. Again, I'd have to look and see, okay, what is a popular, I don't know, maybe J.K. Rowling. What's she doing besides rolling in her millions like Uncle Scrooge? But what am I talking? Billions. She made more than the Queen. Hey, you want to write a comic book? That's not Harry Potter? Let's get you going. So, I mean, go for a more international theme and, see what kind of things you can come up with. It'd be kind of neat just to see, somebody who actually knows the area, knows the culture, rather than, let's make a international character that's maybe not a stereotype and highly offensive.
I don't know any Wakandan writers, actually.
Wait, of course not. Very secretive.
Oh, well, that's true.
The next
wow,
comic
I can stop a podcast on.
The next comic I have is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ooh.
And I would like to see it written by Jim Starlin and drawn by Alan Davis. They've done a couple miniseries together, including a Thanos miniseries and a Guardians of the Galaxy miniseries. Alan Davis's art is... Joe, what are you doing?
I'm not doing anything.
Yes, it's not me.
Well, it sounds like you're opening comics.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and listen to you blather on about dream teams. I'm going to read about my dream teams.
You get no respect, Cory.
No. Alan Davis has a legendary artist. I have yet to see a book by Alan Davis that's not beautiful. And the fact that he's not on a regular monthly book is a crying shame. And Jim Starlin, let's face it, the entire Marvel Cosmic Universe is built on Jim Starlin's work.
Yeah, I mentioned that last podcast. I would just say, Jim, it's yours. Run with it.
So put him on Guardians of the Galaxy, have Alan Davis draw it, and I don't think I could give money fast enough.
Okay, that noise is not coming from me, just so you know, because I've been muted for the last 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yep.
Then who's been talking?
Well, Wolfie. You didn't know he's a master impressionist.
Yes, I am.
Do your impression of Cory. The one where you said, I will clean your room.
I will clean your room and clean your pipe.
Ooh, I got shivers.
Mm.
Dead on. Absolutely dead on.
Well, yes, I will take that shift, sir.
There you go. That's more like it.
Now we're talking. I don't need a life. To continue on the same theme.
What's a life?
That I was talking about before. One of the things as I'm digging through my collection, weeding it out, is I keep running across books that celebrities have written. Like Penn and Teller did one of Spider-Man. CM Punk did Drax. I would reach out and try to get more of that. I don't know if you could get them for a long stint because, they might be busy. But especially if you know somebody likes comics, like we know from our good buddy Adam Vermillion interviewed Al Snow when he was at one of the comic card conventions last year, 2 years ago?
Last year.
And he likes comics. Let's talk to him. Hey, let's set up a one-shot, a mini-series, maybe drop in something. Obviously, a lot of these people will need a regular comic writer with them to get the proper form. I dropped J.K. Rowling, Hey, in my universe, yeah, sure. There's a Harry Potter comic book. But in reality, well, I don't know. It would be kind of fun, too, if you could get in, brain lock. Actor plays Thor.
Chris Hemsworth.
Thank you. I was thinking
One
Chris
of the
Evans.
Chris's.
That's Captain America. But yeah, hey, write a Thor story the way you'd like it. It'll never be filmed, but we'll make a comic series out of it. So, you could have a celebrity line. There was a line from Malibu before I think DC bought them. That was they called it the celebrity series, and as far as I know, only 2 Star Trek people took part in it. The actor who played Nog, and then who played Spock's dad? Mark
Leonard.
Leonard, thank you. And what was cool is the actor who played Nog actually had signed editions, that he signed, and I never saw one for Mark. But I think that would be kind of fun, if you had a property that an actor was involved with. And in Marvel Universe, you got quite a bit. And you want to make a high-end collectible Marvel? Get Scarlett Johansson to sign some of those awesome photo covers. The comics themselves are like $100 to get a signature on that. I mean, it's just something I'd like to see. I think it'd be kind of fun since Scarlett won't talk to me since the incident.
Yeah.
Dan, any comment?
I think that's a really good idea. I like the idea of getting some of them to try. If they don't, already some of them actually do write. I know that. So it would be interesting to see what they would do. Even if it never got published, it was just like, no, never mind.
No. Don't do that with an Android. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Sorry, our bad idea.
At least if anybody's watching.
The next book that I have on my list is Luke Cage. They're going to have a Luke Cage book because Luke Cage is very popular on Netflix. And
Christmas.
And the people I'd like to do it are Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Gaydos. They are the ones currently doing the Jessica Jones book. They did Alias. We all know that Bendis has deep man love for Luke Cage, and he and Gaydos work very well together. I'd like that team to stay together, but rather than working on the Defenders or Jessica Jones, have them work on the book that Bendis has shown mad love for. Have him do a Luke Cage solo series. Joe?
I want John Byrne back on the Fantastic Four. He had one of the best runs I've ever seen. It's one of the few that I've actually gone out of my way to get the Visionary collection because it's just something that I read, and I'll pull it out and reread it over and over and over. There are certain creators, and I'll just shoot my wad here. Frank Miller, back on Daredevil. Walt Simonson, back on Thor. I'd like to see art. I'd like to see, I don't know if Miller does real art, but, I'd like to just see those back. Again, this is things I grew up on, runs that were just fantastic. Will it happen? Probably not. But, hey, this is my
I actually, on Thanos, I would love to see Cory Strode and Daniel Mohr doing that one.
I was thinking more of Noxo the Claiming Clown.
The comic book or him doing Thanos?
Either way.
Okay.
There we go. Thanos versus Noxo the Clown. Be just as good as the X-Men versus Noxo.
Never last.
Dan, are you reading the Thanos series?
Yes, I am, actually.
And your verdict as a huge Thanos fan?
Huge!
He's got a huge Thanos.
Yeah, thank you. I like it. A lot of it will depend on where they go with it from here.
I do know that the writer is only on for the first 12 issues.
Yeah. And so it'll be interesting to see what what they're doing. I don't want to do any spoilers or anything like that, but they did something major to the character, and I'm not.
Oh man, no, I don't even have to.
And I'm not sure if they're going to reverse it, but at least the story on how it's happening is intriguing. So I'm looking. I think I'm. Where are we at? We're at issue 8, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the next issue. So they still have my attention. I like the new art better than the original, but it's still not my favorite. But it's definitely got potential, and I do, like I said, I like what they've done with it so far. So.
Next book I have on my list is another one of those books that there's a TV series, so there's going to be a book. And much like Joe, I want to go back to a creator who made a really good mark on it. I want to see Chris Claremont and Ron Lim do an Iron Fist book. Claremont has a lot of quirks and a lot of idiosyncrasies, and I think on the X-Men he didn't have anybody kind of controlling him, so all of his worst impulses were being used the last few years. Because if an editor can't tell you no and help you do a better job, you tend to become very self-indulgent. However, his Nightcrawler 12-issue series showed that he's still really good at writing a solo book. And Ron Lim is an artist who I've always loved. He's the guy who did the back half on the Infinity Gauntlet when George Perez had overextended himself.
Oh.
And his current art is still just as good. It's still just as clean. He's still good at the big fight scenes. He knows martial arts fights. So I'd like to see Chris Claremont and Ron Lim on Iron Fist.
I stopped listening after the word Iron Fist.
Yeah, you've been Googling that term, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Shocking.
Just whatever you do, Wolfie, do not look up Lemon Party. We warn people of that. Do not Google Lemon Party, okay?
Okay.
Joe?
I want Peter David back on the Hulk. Or Spider-Man. I want his talents on something more than, like, I don't know. He always seems like he's been on the fringe ever since his first original run. You know, he did X Factor for a long time, which was fun. I was never really a big fan of Spider-Man 2099. He did, again, fun stuff. He did some awesome things with, well, not really. It's too I'm thinking like Star Trek, which isn't really Marvel's game, anyways. He's doing Ben Reilly, but I'd like to see him do something more substantial, something like with a key book, like maybe Avengers, or put him on an X-Men, or put him on one of the main characters and just let him roll. Hulk, he had a great run on. He might not have any Hulk stories left, but I'd like to see him back. As far as an artist goes, anybody who can draw clean, really. I'm not big on the image style cross-hatching super. I mean, it was fun at the time, but I go back and try to reread some of these, and it's like, ugh, how did I ever like this? You know, and being that nobody's doing Hulk, let's see where he goes with it.
Oh my God, I Googled it!
I warned you. I told you not to look up Lemon Party.
Oh, it's so wrinkly.
Next book I have is The Fantastic Four. Joe, you mentioned you wanted John Byrne back on the book. I want a guy who's done a few issues but never really got a chance to show how much he loves Kirby and how much he loves The Fantastic Four, and that's Carl Kessel. And the artist that I would like to see is someone who did a very short run on the book as well, and that's Art Adams. I think that they would be able to put together a classic run of the Fantastic Four that would blow everybody away. Adams does Kirby characters better than just about anybody. Carl Kessel writes Kirby characters better than anyone working today. Put them on and let them just go nuts. They Kessel's really good at the superhero stuff. He's good at the personal stuff. And come on, Art Adams drawing the Thing? There's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than that. Joe?
I would like to see Alan Moore and Steve Bissette take on Man-Thing. Just because they did such an awesome job with Swamp Thing. Well, let's see what you can do with a character who can't talk. That's not even a challenge. Those guys could write and draw the phone book, and it would be interesting. But, that would be a dream team I'd like to see come back. Look, I'm salivating just thinking about it.
You always salivate when it comes to my Man-Thing.
Not your Man-Thing, Alan Moore and Steve's.
Oh, you like Alan Moore's Man-Thing.
Everybody likes Alan Moore's Man-Thing.
I don't know. It's awful hairy. Dan?
Yes?
Are you too traumatized?
I think so. I'm a little worried about the fungus that is on your Man-Thing and their Man-Thing.
Don't worry, it's a glob.
Yeah, it's a glob.
Okay. Also, if you're afraid, doesn't it burn?
I'm never afraid.
Cory never touches it.
No one does.
Just in case.
Next book on my list is Deadpool. Marvel's doing all that legacy renumbering, Joe. Did you get your previews?
I have not gone through it yet.
They counted up, and the issue of Deadpool coming out in October will be number 287, which blows my mind. I'm sorry, it's 287 issues of Deadpool. Wow. And I grabbed a name that you had, and that is Peter David. I'm shocked Peter David has never written a character who breaks the fourth wall.
Oh,
and
wow.
The artist, I can't remember the name of the artist, but it's the artist who's drawing the amazing Gwenpool. It's a superhero-ish style, but it's also lends itself to kind of an animated style. So it's kind of a new, fresh sort of style. Really makes superhero costumes look real and kind of makes fun of how goofy some of them look. But Peter David on a character that routinely breaks the fourth wall and has all this X-Men and Marvel history tie-in stuff now, I'm amazed Peter David's never been asked to take a crack at the character in the first place.
Yeah, actually, I'd agree with that. I hadn't thought about that. And yeah, Peter David is actually one writer I happen to know. I mean, no, it's his work.
Joe?
Well, Garth Ennis did a very incredible run on Punisher. I would like to see him take a crack.
He's going to do a Punisher miniseries, by the way.
I'd like to see him take a crack at Wolverine. I mean, the real Wolverine, not the X-23, not the I got bone claws and don't have a healing factor. No, I just want to see
Tell us how you really think, Joe.
A real Wolverine. I mean,
you mean the animal?
It could still happen. It could. It could.
You could ask him. Buy him a few beers, see what he thinks. Next book I have is The Punisher, and the creator I have on it is someone who, again, I'm kind of surprised he never worked on the character, and that's, I would like to see Mike Grell write and draw The Punisher. Mike Grell is mostly known for his work on Warlord at DC. Then in the 80s he did John Sable Freelance. But most people know him now from his run on Green Arrow. Back when Frank Miller did the Batman thing and everybody was revamping characters, he's the one who revamped Green Arrow with the Longbow Hunters and made Green Arrow kind of a middle-aged superhero. Didn't have trick arrows anymore. He used real arrows and put him in the real world. Didn't do a lot of the superhero-ish stuff. It was more of a men's adventure type thing.
Especially the one where they tied Black Canary to a post and tortured her.
Yes, that was the Longbow Hunters.
Oh, my.
But
Wait, Wait, tying who to what?
Google it.
Okay.
I don't know. I think Wolfie's kind of scarred from Google now.
I want to know how he Googles so well. It just shows that felt paw.
But I would like to see
Touch
Grell
screen.
do Punisher and remove him from the Marvel superhero stuff. I don't think Punisher ever works well with the Marvel superheroes.
Yeah.
That's why Garth Ennis kind of pulled him out of the Marvel superhero stuff for most of his run.
You know, and they even talk about that when there was Secret Wars coming up. Tony Stark talks, well, you know, there was talk that Punisher kind of fell off the grid and amassed a huge body count, but I just don't see any evidence of it. You know, just kind of a quick reference to the series, you know, kind of acknowledging it. Or even the when he was an angel, you know, he got killed, and when Garth took over, he said, worked for Angel once, didn't like it, told him where to stuff it. Just kind of a loose paraphrase, because I read it recently and he didn't say that, but that's how I envision it. That's my dream blow-off.
Joe, your opinion?
My opinion?
Yeah, whose opinion?
I'd
What,
read
but-
it.
Well, Joe and then Dan.
Well, I'd like to see Neil Gaiman do Doctor Strange. I think that would be kind of fun, just to see what kind of weird, mystical magic things he would pull out of his hat to drive Doctor Strange. I mean, last time, I think I mentioned Christopher Bird, the Magic God Kingdom, Mighty God Kingdom, whatever. He does a whole series on why he should do it. But, you know, Neil would be a close second. Who am I kidding? And shovel money at Neil. Let him write whatever the hell he wants.
I'm kind of shocked that he's never
Alex,
really played in the Marvel Universe itself. He's done stuff for Marvel, but it's always been, you know, the 1602, you know, an alternate universe. And the Eternal series he didn't really interact with Marvel that much. But when he worked at DC, he loved playing with the DC Universe.
Yeah, he's one of the guys I would be like, okay, run amok. You know, if you want to do one-shots or miniseries or, you know, pop in here and there for a fill-in, that's cool. But they probably can't afford him anymore.
It'd also be interesting to see him write on Angela, considering he actually created the character.
Ooh, there you go. Get that back and get let's get Alex Ross or someone who could draw. Oh, Art Adams. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Frank Cho.
Oh, that's even better.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Who else is
Brian
really good
Bolin? Brian Bolin? Craig Horn? Who's the guy who likes Spider-Woman's butt? Milo Milan or whatever?
Manaris,
yes. No, get all of let's tag team this baby.
I'm going to drop a name who hasn't been in mainstream comics for over a decade. Jim Ballant. The guy who drew the Catwoman series in the 90s. He's been off doing his weird tarot book that it still has the most famous line we have ever read from a comic. Your vagina is haunted!
What?
Yep, there was an issue of tarot where...
I got it right here. Let me... The Black Witch.
Yep, the end of the issue was the lead character telling another woman, your vagina is haunted!
I want to be the Ghostbuster on that.
But, yeah, let him draw. Don't let him write, please. For the love of God, don't let him write. I know he put my celebrity friend, Tonya Kay, in a couple issues. Please, don't let him write. Don't let him write. The next book I have is The Defenders, and the creators I have are John Ostrander and Scott McDaniel. Scott McDaniel didn't do a lot of work for Marvel. He did a Daredevil run, which, the Daredevil in armor. Ugh. But he did a lot of work over on the Batman books at DC, and I really like his style. And John Ostrander his run on Suicide Squad, his Star Wars stuff, and his stuff in the 80s on Grimjack, and, what was the other one he did for them? But mostly his run on Suicide Squad, he can really do a good superhero team book. If you get a chance to pick up his Suicide Squad from the 90s, do it. It was one of those books where when it came out, it's like, okay, it's a team of villains who are going to be fighting, and yeah, I don't know any of these characters, and it's probably only going to last about a year, and it lasted for 5 years because of the strength of the writing. I'd like to see him play with the Defenders as a non-team.
Yeah, that would be the other question. Is it just going to be, kind of the non-team thing, or is it... And how would you keep that going? That would be the other thing. I mean, even the whole non-team thing, for the longest time, these guys were pretty much a team, Yeah, people came, people went, but, it's almost like a loose conglomeration of heroes more than like the official Avengers. We have a headquarters, we have funding type thing. Speaking of Avengers, I would put back Kurt Busiek and George Perez. And I want the real Avengers, not these million sub-teams. And just go with it. Bring back all the main guys. And, Kurt just has a wonderful way of tying in all the continuity without knocking you over the head, yet it's for fans like me who really like it. Plus, it was kind of fun in the letter pages when he kind of referred to, in case you miss it, that's where this came from or this thing. There's plenty of secrets out in the Marvel Universe or questions that need to be solved or villains running around loose. This is the way to do it. When the Avengers were under these two, it was actually more of an event book. I mean, things were happening. And, of course, George Perez, we've talked about him ad nauseum. He is just... Giant Pez, one of the premier team drawing members. If you don't believe it, just go look up... what should we send him to, Cory? JLA Avengers?
Yeah.
Ultra Force? No, forget that.
Warren Ellis and George Perez working on a superhero book that tanked. Think about that. That's probably when Marvel went, yeah, we can't do anything with these characters. When they put those guys on a book and it still didn't sell. Dan?
Thinking about it, actually, what I'd like to see is, thinking about Deadpool, actually, I would like to see, I'm not sure who I'd want to write it, but the thing is, I would like to see Christopher Jones actually do a Deadpool series, but in the, Batman animated style that he used to do.
Yeah,
he used to draw for that, and I would love to see a Deadpool in that style. And and kind of the same writing style too, but obviously with the Deadpool humor in it. I think that would be really fun a fun one to read because you could really screw with the Marvel Universe in it. And because it would be in that cartoony style, they could easily say, "Oh, this is some other universe." But I'm not sure who I'd want to write it.
The next book I have is it would be kind of a nostalgia update book. Iron Man, I would like it written and inked by Bob Layton, who had 2 fantastic runs on the character in the 80s and 90s, and drawn by Steve Skroce, who recently drew We Stand on Guard, and has a new image book that I saw in the new previews, but I didn't have time to dig into what it's about. But he does great anime-style robots, and, he's been around Marvel and DC forever. He's an artist who doesn't stay on a book very long, but when he does, he really visually reimagines it. And Bob Layton is one of the guys who was able to really understand how to do superhero corporate stories, which, as we've seen over the years, pretty hard to do. How many times has Iron Man has been killed and now he needs to be rebooted? So I'd like to see Bob Layton come in and do a third run, because his first 2 runs were amazing, and there's stuff that he introduced that's still being used, such as the fact that Tony Stark's an alcoholic, the Ghost, and the other villains that he created. Joe?
In kind of a vein what you guys were talking about earlier, I would get Art Baltazar to do for Marvel what he's been doing for DC, kind of making a fun, it's kind of a kid's line with his unique art style of kind of mini heroes, but it's also, the few I've read are actually quite enjoyable. Sometimes you're like, geez, this is better continuity than the main book. You know, the characters are happy, they like doing it. I mean, his Superman stuff he was doing was just a lot of fun. Just get him on board and say, okay, let's see what you can do. Or take a character like Franklin Richard or Power Pack. Oh, there you go, Power Pack. Get Simonson back to just have some fun. See, look at Marvel, we're giving you ideas. I hope somebody's listening.
Well, with Franklin Richards, the Chris Iliopoulos Franklin Richards books are still some of my favorite comics that Marvel's done the last 20 years. And I know Chris Iliopoulos makes $1 bajillion doing the I Am series with Brad Meltzer. He's the one who does I Am Amelia Earhart, I Am Martin Luther King. There's these kids' books that are mini biographies. And, they sell pretty good, and he's not hurting for money. But, boy, I'd love to see him come back and do a Franklin Richards book a couple times a year. Dan?
Pass.
Okay.
Well, how about what would you like to see, Wolfie? Maybe a Muppet book?
But yeah, I think a Muppet book done by Cho would be good.
Oh, God.
Like Miss Piggy and Kermit having to deal with their issues, and her just going on a bender because the frog, completely ignored her. I think
they do that as a failed TV series.
Well, that's not the point. That's the thing. If it's drawn by Cho and written by Frank Miller, I mean, think about it.
I mean, I remember what you told me at the last time we all got together.
Frank Miller drawing Kermit.
Wolfie, you said you never could refuse a woman with 16 breasts.
Oh, no. No, I mean, who could?
The city was dark, and she was a pig. How did I get to this situation? As I look through the Venetian blinds, I wonder, why is a frog sleeping with a pig? I don't know, man. A Frank Miller Kermit the Frog series? That's money.
They called her a pig. Swine.
Let's see. Next book I have, Captain Marvel, done by J.H. Williams III, who worked with Alan Moore on the series Promethea, and is probably best known for his run on Batwoman, a character he created. Beautiful visual artist. His stuff is just amazing to look at, and he showed with Batwoman that he's one of the people who can write female superheroes that don't feel like either pandering to the male reader or just, it's a regular superhero book, she just happens to be a woman. He really does great work, and that Batwoman series he did for DC was one of the few books from the New 52 that I really enjoyed. And I'd like to see him take a crack at Captain Marvel. Marvel really wants Captain Marvel to be a top-line book. You're going to have to put some top-line creators on it. Joe?
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm going to steal your thunder here, Cory, because I'm looking down your list, and I think we're thinking the same thoughts. It's just I have a different area I'm going. I want to bring back Marvel Fanfare. I want to bring back the creative teams. I want to bring back characters that may not be used. Marvel's they boast, we got over 5,000 characters. And this might be a good place just to show off, get some premier guys. Hey, you know what? We're picking on Frank Miller. Frank Miller, how about do a quick 8-page story on...
Frogman!
I was going to say Deathlock, but Frogman's good. You know, do
Stealthman!
that type of thing. You know, bring it back. You know, you could use it for not only keeping your trademarks and that going,
The
but
Panther!
I think it could be a lot of fun, especially if you get some, you know, solid names running it. I don't know if it would be work as an anthology. I don't know if it would work as maybe a title, you know, Marvel Fanfare and do a series of one-shots. But just, you know, have some fun. It might be a place where you can catch lightning in a bottle again. And if you find a character that people really like, well, you run with it and, you know, make a little money for everybody. Yeah, that's what it's all about. But that's the last thing I got. How about you, Cory? You must have a couple more.
Well, Dan?
Actually, thinking about it, I was thinking about Joss Whedon's run on Astonishing X-Men. I really liked that, and I would like to see him come back and do some more, but not necessarily on his own. I really like his dialogue, but I would almost like to see Straczynski come in and do some plot and have Joss Whedon actually write it. Because I like Straczynski's ideas, but sometimes Joss does much better on interaction. So to see those two work together on an X-Men book, I think would be really, really cool. But then also Joss would have to write the ending.
So that it had one.
Yeah.
JMS didn't work on the X-Men while he was at Marvel, did he, Joe?
I don't believe he did.
No, I think he only worked on Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
And the 12.
And the 12? I don't even recognize that title.
It was an attempt to revamp some of Marvel's Golden Age characters.
Oh, that one. Right. Okay. Well, that was a mistake.
I don't know. I haven't read it. It read good. The problem was it took forever to get out. By the time it came out, nobody cared.
Yeah.
The next book I have on my list is a newer book that I really enjoy, and that's The Champions. The problem is I put Mark Waid up on the Avengers, didn't I, Joe?
Hey, he can write more than one.
Nope, we said one book to a person. That was one of the rules. So
I've already broken it.
Oh, I didn't know that rule.
That's okay. So instead, I have somebody else who's kind of good at writing teenage superheroes. And that's Brian K. Vaughan.
Ooh.
And have him work with the artist Humberto Ramos on The Champions. I would love to see Brian K. Vaughan take a crack at a mainline Marvel Universe book, because Runaways was good playing around the edges of the Marvel Universe, and he showed he really understands the dynamic of teenagers. And The Champions is one of my favorite books. I think it's very well done, and it's a great group of the newer Marvel characters. And Humberto Ramos is knocking it out of the park with that thing, so I'd love to see that team on that book, since Mark Waid got... we got to keep him on the Avengers. Because that's... I have always said the Avengers should be the main Marvel book. That's where all the Marvel Universe stuff should be going on.
It's true. It's very boring. I mean, it's like, hey, would you guys like to place your order? We got to have Mark Waid on the regular Avenger where the main stuff going on. Kind of embarrassing almost.
Dan?
Yeah?
Any feedback before I get to the last book I'm pitching?
No, please.
All right, the last book that I have on my list, I would like to see Marvel bring back Marvel Comics Presents. I'd like to see it as either a weekly or a bi-weekly, and I'd like them to have the 4 8-page stories. I know anthologies don't do well, but I think this would be a great way to kind of mix older creators and newer creators, to try out people who haven't worked at Marvel before. And much like they did with Marvel Comics Presents, you anchor it with a big name doing a popular character. You know, an 8-part story. Do another Barry Windsor Smith story. Have him pick out a character he wants to do to kind of be the anchor. Or, somebody like Frank Miller. we know that he can't put out a comic on a regular basis, but he could probably, write an 8-page story every couple of weeks. Have him do something. Have Bill Sienkiewicz doing stuff. This would be kind of like Joe talked about with the Marvel Fanfare, but I like the anthology format. And to me, the first 100 or so issues of Marvel Comics Presents was the most fun book at the time, because you would see things like, okay, we're going to have John Buscema drawing a Wolverine story, and we're going to have Doug Mensch writing a Master of Kung Fu story, and we've got Steve Gerber doing a Man-Thing story, and we've got Don McGregor doing a Black Panther story. You can do the nostalgia stuff. You can use it for new creators. One of the ways Scott Lobdell got into comics was he would drop by Marvel every day and drop off a new 8-page story for a minor character at Marvel Comics Presents, because he knew they needed to use the characters. He was showing that he could hit a deadline, and he was giving them stuff that, hey, we're running up against a deadline. Use this script. It's a good. There's really. I think one of the problems with comic sales right now is there's no way for new people to sort of break in at Marvel. It's more, okay, we're going to throw you in the deep end of the pool. Oh, people don't know you. You're working on a minor character. You're working on this book. 6 issues and done. But I also understand that anthology books don't sell real well, so, that's why it's a Dream Team aspect. But I wonder if they could package it as a magazine, have a bunch of ads and sell it on newsstands, much like the Ultimate Spider-Man magazine or Mad or, all the magazines you see at the grocery store. Magazine size at a price count that would make sense, and have the ads carry the weight. So that really, the comics don't have to make as much money because you're making money off the ads. Joe?
I'm done.
You're done?
I'm done. I got nothing.
Dan? Anything else on Marvel Dream Teams you'd like to throw in?
Actually, I would like to come in and put something that I have an idea for. I think what I would like to see is on one of these books to bring in a really well-known author and artist. For instance, perhaps H.G. Wells writing one and having Rembrandt actually do the coloring. I mean, think about this. They are classics. They are wonderful people. They could do a wonderful job on one of these funny books.
Wolfie?
Yeah?
Reginald says he thinks you're sexy.
Come here, boy!
Oh, no.
And that's how to get rid of them both. You know who we don't want to get rid of, Joe?
Topless Minions?
Ooh.
No.
Oh. No, he's right. We don't want to get rid of those.
Minions are asexual.
You're not thinking... Okay, not those Minions.
Oh! But I was thinking about these guys, our sponsors. That's right, here at the Solitaire Rose Radio Network, we have ads, and our first sponsor is me. That's right, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. I have my first book out with Dangerous Dan Mohr. It's the first 100 strips of our online web strip, Worldwide News, the story of the lowest rated cable news network. And you can get yourself a copy with commentary, with all sorts of extras, with signatures and everything. Just email Dan over at LordShadowFlame@gmail.com. Our top sponsor, who's been with us since day one, is DreamHost. DreamHost.com. You need yourself a website, and DreamHost.com is the #1 web host in the whole known universe. Just head over to DreamHost.com, put in the code KRAYZ, KRAYZ, get $20 off your first year. How can you beat that? Our other sponsor is Graze, GRAZE.com. Healthy snacks for a healthy lifestyle. Just head over to Graze, put in the code CORYS3R5P. Your first and fifth box are free. You could get them weekly. You could get them bi-weekly. You could get them monthly. You could just order a whole bunch of them. It's great stuff to keep you away from the vending machine at work. Now, if you would like to leave a comment for any of the podcasts that we do, we'd love those. Go ahead and email us at solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com, or you can call 952-856-0519. Operators are standing by. Okay, it's just a place that will record your calls, but we'll play them on the air. We'll answer your questions. We love getting feedback. Tell us what you think. Ask a question. Suggest a topic. Be a guest. Send us your stuff. solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com. If you would like to advertise on any of the Solitaire Rose radio shows, you can. Just email us at solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com. Subject advertising. Thanks.
Welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. I'm not your charming and delightful Uncle Rat Bastard, but the sponsors were just talked about, and we wanted to continue from there.
And after we talk about the sponsors, we talk about the other stuff we're doing. We've got other podcasts we do. We've got Novelcast over at novels.solitairerose.com. We've got we've got Dave and Stephanie doing a podcast over at scrabbling.solitairerose.com, where they travel the United States. Dave is a folk singer who travels around, and Stephanie's his lovely bride who travels with him, and after they're done for the day, they play a game of Scrabble and talk about their day in that podcast.
Scrabbling Across the West, a fortnightly retelling of Dave and Stephanie.
Wait, fortnightly?
That means every 2 weeks.
I know what it means. What if we wanted to do it more or less often than every 2 weeks?
Well, that wouldn't be holding down the fort, would it?
Oh, you're funny. Okay, how about frequently?
All right, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Scrabbling Across the West, a frequent retelling of Dave and Stephanie Kofel's adventures in traveling, making music, and playing Scrabble across the Western Hemisphere. It's all about the people, the places, and the game. Scrabbling Across the West. Bye-bye.
Bye!
You can be a part of this here podcast. Joe, we're letting the listeners in. We're letting comic creators in. We're letting all kinds of people in because end of the month is Jack Kirby's 100th birthday. The 28th of August is Jack Kirby's 100th birthday. And we are letting people record a message about Jack Kirby that we will be playing on the show, and here's me talking about it. Crazy Comics and Stories is doing a special episode for Jack Kirby's 100th birthday, and we'd like you to be a part of it. Please send a MP3 to solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com. It can be about anything. It can be about your favorite Jack Kirby story, the thing you like best about his art. Heck, you could even do a song about how much you love Big Barda. Big Barda. Or, if you don't want to record an MP3, go ahead and give us a call at 952-856-0519. You can leave a message there. Just, the MP3 shouldn't be more than 5 minutes, and the message should be as long as Google Voice will let you record. Thanks again. Any other plugs? Any other plugs? Any other plugs? Oh, yeah, Dan and I have a book.
Yeah.
Joe liked it.
I liked
did.
anything.
It wasn't rough on my bum.
Joe gave it a good review, even though the paper's very slick and not absorbent.
Well, you just have to crumple it a little more.
Oh, now he tells me.
So, now you can order it from Dan at LordShadowFlame@gmail.com, or you can pick it up at some of his appearances.
Yes.
And Dan, where will you be appearing?
Where will I be appearing? Well, in September, at the end of September, I will be appearing at Icon in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So if you are in that area, you can come out and see me there. In October, I hope to be at FallCon. I have not heard one way or the other yet. And let's see, after that, I think the next one would be in December when we do the Holiday Geek Expo again. So, and that should be at the Doubletree in Bloomington on the first weekend of December, which I don't know the dates offhand. I think it's the 3rd and 4th. So,
and Joe, will you ever be showing up any place Dan is?
Never.
Oh, okay, good.
I have that effect on people.
So it's Dan's fault I don't show up at conventions anymore. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I figured.
Oh, okay, good. So, well, after we get all the plugs out of the way, we come to Joe's favorite part of the show. No, not where he throws his pants out the window. It's, Joe, what's going on the eBays?
Time for Ask the Strode Rapid Fire. Cory, get your thinking helmet on. Got your grenades ready. Okay, are you ready? Oh, here we go.
Fandango.
Tell me the significance of Adventure Comics 247.
Wasn't that the first Supergirl?
Nope, First Legion. Number 2.
Oh!
Tell me the significance of All-Star Comics number 8. 1941.
Yeah, I know. I think Wonder Woman was with the group from the beginning, but I know it was somebody joined the team.
You had it right the first time. First appearance.
Oh, it was Wonder Woman. Okay.
Of Wonder Woman, yes. Now, of course, we'll toss him an easy one. All-Star Comics.
By the way, I
number
want to point out something about that, Joe. Wonder Woman's origin was not in Sensation Comics, where she was appearing, or Wonder Woman. Think about that. That's weird, isn't it?
Not as weird as what's in All-Star Comics number 3 from 1940.
Isn't that the first appearance of the Justice Society?
He got one. Mysterious Suspense number 1 from 1968.
The Question by Steve Ditko.
Yep, first solo appearance. Brave and Bold number 28 from 1960.
Justice League.
Very good. First appearance. Sensation Comics number 1.
That's Wonder Woman.
Yep. That's her first appearance as a soloist. Showcase number 22.
Ooh.
First appearance of Jessica Rabbit.
1959.
Oh.
Challengers of the Unknown?
Nope. First Silver Age Green Lantern. How about Superboy number 1 in 1949?
That was the first appearance of Superboy.
Well, I think it's his first comic, not his first appearance. He appeared, I think, in More Fun before that. Flash Comics number 1.
First appearance of the Flash and Hawkman.
And Johnny Thunder. Action Comics 252.
Was that Supergirl?
Yes. Police Comics number 1.
Plastic Man.
Detective Comics 359. 1967.
Batgirl.
Very good. How about Detective Comics 38?
Robin.
Superman number 1.
Lex Luthor.
Actually, just his first appearance as Superman. But we'll give you...
No.
House of Secrets 92.
Superman number 1
House
was
of
not
Secrets
the first.
92.
I am stopping you, Joe.
Stop delaying. We're almost there.
Nope, Superman number 1 was not the first appearance of Superman.
I didn't say that. I said it was his first solo comic. It's House of Secrets 92.
You said first appearance.
House of Secrets 92.
Swamp Thing.
Whiz Comics number 2.
Captain Marvel.
Now, every single title plus more that I mentioned, what is the significance of all these?
They have been reprinted as the DC Millennial books back in 2000.
And the ones I got, the ones that are left that haven't sold, are on my eBay website. Most of them are fairly cheap. There's a few, like the aforementioned All-Star Comics 8, for some reason, $40. Very expensive one. Some of the other ones are high. Some are like a Young Romance number 1. First DC Romance comic. It's like a 99 center. So if you go to my comic site, Crazy, Krayz, access it through the Solitaire Rose Network, you'll see what's left. And if you tell me you're how do you say
What the hell is going on?
That's my fault. I accidentally ran into something.
I'll give you something.
I know you're trying to get away from Wolfie and Reginald, but please, just sit down.
Yeah,
sorry.
Just sit down. It's okay. It's okay.
Englishman with sexy. It's very, very conservative. So, okay, now back to Superman. You had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, you were saying Superman number 1 was the first appearance of Superman.
First solo title.
Thank you.
And that's what I said. You had said, you had said Lex Luthor, which it may be, but that when I looked all these up online on my favorite site, Atomic Avenue, they did not mention that was Lex Luthor's first appearance, which is weird because you'd think that would be a major point in it.
And Lex Luthor, Joe, what was the thing that's very different about Lex Luthor than now in his first appearance?
Besides Lex Luthor's first appearance was Action Comics 23.
There you
That's
go.
when he had red hair.
Right.
And he lasted all the way till, what, Crisis number 1? Or was that a later one?
Did, yeah.
Yeah, and then he got evaporated by Brainiac, I believe.
And the good Luthor on Earth 3 also had red hair.
Yep, and so did his clone.
Superman didn't make him go bald.
He let Superboy punch the wall, so we're not going to...
Well, yeah, there's that. Well, Joe has completed the eBay.
And Cory did really well for a rapid fire round.
And you know what that means? It's time to rub the Bengay on your grandma. No.
I thought it was the first podcast of Wolfie and Reginald have sex.
That'll be on some other network.
Oh.
No, it's my favorite part of the show, Freaking and Geeking. Joe, what are you freaking on?
Work. Man, I tell you, there's something about work in there. At TSA, they just have a way of making you feel super, super good and then just turning around and just shitting all over you. The aforementioned schedule came out. We're bidding on it. I think after I come back on from my vacation I'm doing in mid-August. But they changed the shifting and the schedules. The last bid, they had like 5 different weekends off, actually 6 to 7. And this time around, they got 3. And, since we bid by seniority, that means the top 3 get their weekends off and the other 5 of us all get screwed. And it's not really because of operational needs, because we're actually doing okay. And we're actually through most of the busy season. We got like 1 more month of summer and then it slows down for a while. But you'd think after 14 fucking years, these guys would figure out how to make a goddamn schedule that can accommodate people. But no, they just got to find new ways of screwing us over. So I'm really kind of bummed. I mean, at this last schedule, I actually got weekends off. So I was able to, go to the different comic shows. And, I'll talk about one when we get to geeking and stuff. So that's bad. And then we have this other annoying thing. I don't know if any of you have ever been subjugated to pay per performance, which is a euphemism. It sounds good. Yeah, you perform good. You get paid good. But the problem is what I'm running into now. Okay, the last couple years, actually last 4 or 5 years, I've had supervisors that actually worked with me and actually, in my opinion, graded me fairly. And our grade that we get ties into the pay that we get. Now, management has a big disconnect because they said, no, your performance has nothing to do with your pay. And that's like bullshit because if you get top performance, you get top pay, even though they're 2 separate things. So regardless of how you do it, the workers, like me, are going to equate getting a top rating with pay, regardless of what you say. Because I have now a supervisor that is a C supervisor. You probably ran into these guys in college, at your work. Cory, you had an example of it. You were talking on your Facebook. They looked at your numbers last week. Oh, you're doing a great job. Somebody new comes in, looks at your numbers. Ooh, we got some problems with your numbers here. It's that same situation. I'm going from guys who actually rated me what I thought fair to another guy who's practically told me there's no way you're ever going to get a decent rating from me. If they can't justify it, they don't have to justify it. They gave it to me. They've been giving it to me for the last several years. I'm going to have a tough time, and I may have to, use the union and grieve it. It's like, how can you go, we got a rating 1 to 5. How can I go from 4 and 5s, and then all of a sudden I get to you and I'm 3s? He gave me all the buzzwords I got to worry about. Well, you need room to improve. Not really. No planes have gone down. My job is to look for bombs and fucking luggage. If I wake up the next morning and nothing's gone down, I think I've done my job. So I'm really bummed out, not only with the schedule that's going to get fucked up and changed, but then the whole rating thing, which means now when raises come around, such as they are, I don't get shit. So, and again, will it matter? I've been through it before. I had years ago, they had a rating when it was 1 through 100 that, I got like a 75 on it. And I was like, oh, hey, I did pretty good. They gave me a bonus. They gave me a little raise. Next year, I got the same, and I was like, oh, I'm doing okay. I I'm consistent. I must be doing good. Nope, they changed the goalposts. So now 75, you get nothing. You know, and that's why pay per performance is bullshit. Plus, it takes up a lot of time for supervisors, a lot of time on my behalf that I have to go now justifying myself. It's like, you're with me every day. You know, I would hope you would tell me before rating that, hey, you know what? You need to improve this. But, so needless to say, I'm not very happy. And all I think about is I've done something I haven't done before, Cory. You've heard me say I got 7 years till I can retire.
Yeah.
2,333 days.
Ooh.
I added up the days. So needless to say, I'm freaking. But there's a geeking in there too. But we'll get to it. Cory, what are you freaking on? Or do we want to go to Darling Dan and his fuzzy hand Wolfie?
Well, let's just go to Dan. I think Wolfie's busy.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Surprisingly enough, I'm not really freaking on anything at the moment, but I think when we get to geeking, it will make sense because I have a lot of geeking going on.
Whole lot of geeking going on.
A whole lot of geeking going on. All right, I'll do this. I'm freaking out on the fact that Joe is so upset.
I haven't been upset with my job in a long time. I mean, I've been bemused and confused, but this is like two things that just hit me real fast that I'm not necessarily appreciative of. And next week I'll probably be fine. Because, the point is I'm employed, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, well, you're a tax. If my taxes pay your thing, you shouldn't get shit anyways. Whatever. That's not the point.
The fact that anybody's employed at this point is probably a good thing. But I haven't been getting a lot of sleep, but also that's connected, so that could be a freaking, but that we'll get into, again, with the geeking. Cory, what are you freaking on?
The group home has finally slowed down, which is a good thing. That would normally be geeking. I am sleeping in my own bed. In July, I slept in my own bed 3 times. And so this week, I slept in my bed 4 nights. Well, kind of. First 2 nights, I laid in my bed for like an hour and a half, couldn't sleep, because it was so different. I had to come out and sleep on my couch. Because I've slept on couches so much, I had to sleep on my couch.
Oh, wow.
I had to kind of ease back into having a bed. How's that for you?
And I was waiting for you the entire time.
And the DCB service, who I order from, has changed how they ship in a way that bugs me now. If you order once a month, they used to... they would get their books on Tuesday, they'd package them up and send them out to everybody on Wednesday. But if you get your books once a month, now the people who order weekly get preference, people who order biweekly get preference, and those of us who order monthly, they put our boxes together over the weekend and mail them the Monday after. So you get your comics a week after they come out. You're still paying the same for shipping and everything, but you look at your list, it's like, oh, cool, look at that, I got this stuff coming, and then you realize, oh, it's the last week of the month, but I won't get previews for a week and a half, and it's a minor annoyance, but it's still an annoyance, because every week after they ship, it's like, okay, my books still haven't shipped yet, they update your... They update what they're sending you on Monday. So, like, this month, they didn't ship my books yet. I look at what, look on Monday. There are 3 omnibuses that came in this week that didn't get put in my box because, oh, no, we only send the July books in your shipping. You can't get the August books. So it's kind of you're looking at it going, the box is right there. Other than that, I don't have a lot of freaking. I have not looked through previews yet. I did look through the Marvel book, and for all of the bitching people are doing about Legacy, it doesn't look like it's a huge change yet, But they're really hinting that something big happens in these Generation books, and that something huge happens at the end of Secret Empire. So, I'll kind of waiting to see what they do. But really, this week I haven't had a lot of time to read up on comics, and I've been so exhausted from the last few months that when I'm home, it does kind of become, okay, I'll do the bare minimum of stuff I got to do, and then I'm just going to lay down, because the last few months are catching up with me. I'm getting old, Joe. I'm getting old.
Kidding?
Well, before I drive over to Joe's house and beat him with a stick, let's get into geeking. Joe, what are you geeking on?
Well, I mentioned about the schedule change, which I'm not anticipating, and I'm sure we'll revisit that in a future freaking. However, the new schedule does not happen until October 29th, which means I am clear to go to Fall Comic-Con, which will be October 7th, 2017, at the Minnesota State Fair Edumacation Building.
You need to get educated.
You do. And that means that all this work I'm doing, as you hear me in the background, ripping open comics and shuffling and keyboarding, I'm looking through and figuring out which comics are worth something, which comics are not, and which comics I don't really care about. So I'm going to have a ton of bucks that I'll be blowing out for $1. I'll have a bunch for $2. I'll have some $5, and of course, the vault. I've opened the vault wide and bringing out some of the stuff that I'm looking to get rid of.
Vault.
It is. So I'm really looking forward to that. I do have a vacation coming up, so hopefully I can just unwind a little bit from work and all the bullshit that I got to deal with. Reading, I've been doing quite a bit. I got via the eBays a copy of Rowdy, the Roddy Piper story. A biography of their father written by Ariel Teal Toombs and Colt Bard Toombs. And this, of course, is the pro wrestler. I'm in the early part of the years. Apparently, Roddy always had the idea he was going to do a book, but he passed away before it got done. What he did do is he did go back and visit people he hadn't seen in, decades to talk to them about their version of events. There's a lot of quotes, a lot of stories in there. Like I said, I'm just in the first part. The guy had a balls-ass rough life, but as we all know, he turned out pretty good, and it's kind of fun to read along and see what he's doing. Finally into the portion where he actually is embracing wrestling as a way out, and he started young, spent a lot of time in Minnesota, the AW area, before I actually watched it. And apparently one of his first matches here was a very young guy out of Memphis. Cory, do you remember his name?
Jerry Lawler.
Close. Ric Flair.
Oh!
I know. He hasn't run into Jerry Lawler yet. So, worth picking up. Comic-wise, I'm reading Empire Uprising. I have the comics, and since I actually bought the book for cheap, I am going to... This is one of the things we bought when we were back at Nostalgia Zone. And I'm just going to keep the book. It's supposed to be like a 12-issue series, but only 4 have come out from IDW, and there's no hide nor hair of the rest of it. So I don't know if they just decided, hey, it's not selling, we're not doing it, which is weird for IDW. Mark Waid's writing it, Barry Kinson's doing the art, and the gist of the story, this is the second series, basically the villain won. It's Monarch, he's kind of allusions towards Dr. Doom type guy we don't know what he looks like. He's inside a super powerful armor. And he basically won. And that's the beginning of the story. Another thing I got actually at a last box day, and now I got another box day I haven't gone through, and I haven't even started reading this yet. Wonder Woman by George Perez, Volume 2. I might have to write that down. Cory, you think we should do the same thing with DC that we did for Marvel?
Why don't we try it?
Oh, that's a good idea, because this will be my first one. George Perez back on Wonder Woman. What's fun about his Wonder Woman,
Giant Pez,
other than the fact he draws beautifully and he embraces the mythology, is they write Wonder Woman, she's more of an innocent than a warrior that's seen a lot in doing that. And, some of the scenes are when she sees, I think she's 14 or 15-year-old Cassie, and Cassie's thinking, oh my God, Wonder Woman's gorgeous, and Wonder Woman's thinking, wow, she's beautiful. And it's a fun series. One thing I didn't like in this particular one is they refer to something that the meeting of post-crisis, pre-New 52 Superman Wonder Woman occurred, I believe it was in Action Comics. And Darkseid was involved. They were on Olympus. There was a well-timed, bad-timed kiss. But they only refer to it in this book because, this is by George Perez. I wish they would have included it because it was such a key build-up. Because Wonder Woman was real gaming on Superman, and Superman was having the same thing. And they met, they fought, they refer to what happened, but I don't have that issue, so I'll have to go back and look for it. Another actual book, I don't know if I mentioned this one or not, will always have Casablanca. The Life, Legend, and Afterlife of Hollywood's Most Beloved Movie by Noah Eisenberg. This is an interesting book because it talks about things in Casablanca, not necessarily the making of, but more the events that happened around it, before it, after it, its effect on things, including various Simpson parodies. And it's a lot of the stuff in here I've never known before. So the fact that out of some 75 actors and actresses cast in Casablanca, they were all immigrants. They were all from Europe, trying to get away from Nazism. Some of them had big careers in Europe, and a lot of the people, we just know their lines. Like the one lady in the beginning who's trying to peddle her diamonds. I'm sorry, diamonds are trifles. Could it be just a little more? Well-known actress overseas comes over here, survives on bit parts. A lot of these characters, a lot of these actors barely survived on bits parts because of the way the Hollywood system were put on. And even among the 14 who earned a screen credit, only 3 were born in the United States. Humphrey Bogart, Dooley Wilson, who played Sam, and Joy Page, who was Jack Warner's stepdaughter. She's the Bulgarian refugee that, Bogart kind of takes pity on and lets her husband win. So just a lot of information, more talking about the cultural impact of Casablanca. If you like the movie, if you've seen the movie, you'll love the movie like I do. Definitely worth picking up a copy of this. Out of my vast accumulation of crap, I finally got together my Avengers Prime, which occurs after Siege. This is kind of the re-friending or the re-putting together of the Prime Avengers, Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America, or as he was just called, Steve Rogers. So Brian Michael Bendis wrote it. Was it Davis? Which Davis?
Alan Davis.
Alan Davis again. Yeah, he did the miniseries. So beautiful stuff. It's got to be out in book form. I don't believe this is in the Bendis series that I've been enjoying that they reprinted, of which Volume 6 is sitting on my piano, so I'm going to attack that after we're done here. Another book I read that was, I should say it's done. It was Kingpin from Marvel. Stops at issue 5. Again, this might be part of the Marvel implosion. Kind of an interesting story because Kingpin is trying to reinvent himself. He's not denying he was a bad guy, but he's trying to convince this one of the women in there to write the story of Kingpin in book form. And I kind of get the feeling after reading, it was real fun to read. I thought it was intriguing. When we get to issue 5, I think they kind of wrapped it up real fast. They must have been told, oh, guys, by the way, it's over. Just write it up. Because it just seemed to rush. It seemed to get going. And then all of a sudden, the last page, and if you want to toss in a spoiler alert, fine. Bam, there's a big line. Life and Times of Wilson Fisk. He's smiling. People are in line getting autographs. And, my God, you work for Mr. Fisk? What's he like in real life? And she says, read the book. So, unfortunately, I think it must have been a series they cut short because nobody was buying it. Makes me sure glad I bought it. Well, the world needs dollars books, too. I mentioned I went to a con over the weekend. I went up to, they call it Northern Convergence up in Forest Lake. Basically at a VFW. Boy, there was nothing going on there, I'm telling you. They had Mike Tickle from Oak Leaf Collectibles was there. There was another person that had a bunch of collector comics, and I wish you could have gone, Cory, because they had those those Marvel magazines, priced accordingly, of series that I was like, Marvel did this? Boy, I never even knew it. One guy was selling Hot Wheels, a bunch of vintage toys that I'd never seen before. I picked up something called an electric cable car, which is a little plastic piece that goes back and forth on a nylon line, and when it hits the other side, it trips and goes back the other way. And a little bit broken, but it just was kind of so cool. I did buy some stuff from Mike, some Marvel fanfare. You know, I'm going to start trying to get that collection together again. I picked up the Legion of Night, Steve Gerber, Willis Portacio, Scott Williams, Paul Mounts, 2-issue, what do they call it, Prestige? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's only 2 issues. A couple of Marvel comic reprints, you know, when they come out with those big, thick reprints. This one might have been Marvel Comics #1. Yep, 70th Anniversary Edition. And then something I know, Cory, you've raved about in the past. It was a one-shot, Agents of Atlas #1. Although I think this is a Secret Wars tie-in, because it's got that logo somewhere on the cover. But I figure, what the heck, you've talked about it, I'll give it a read. And again, this is the Secret Wars, so it might be better if I just find the regular one. So the convention was a little disappointing, but, you know, I had fun. I dug through a bunch of Tickle books, and found a few more cons coming around. I don't know if I'll go to them, but at least till FallCon, if I get a chance, I'll be free on Saturdays, because I know there's one like in Eau Claire Comic Convention on September 9th. The following week, the Comic Card, you know, comiccard.net guys are going to have one at the Bloomington VFW on September 16th. Tom Seeley, Keith Champagne, Tom Nigan, Frank Foster. Those artists, I don't see any sports guys there. Usually they do combination of sports and that. There's a Metacon at, this is a new one I hadn't heard about, September 1st through the 3rd, metaconventions.com, somewhere in Minneapolis. And looks like voice actors and a few other people. So it's weird because it's like all these little cons are popping up all over the place. Some are no more than dealer shows. You got the big one coming up, Minnesota Fan Fest, that I'm out of town for. I've heard a lot of good things about this, so it'd be interesting to see how they go. And then, of course, FallCon, kind of the granddaddy of them all. So, gotta get some money up. I think there might be a sale coming on my eBays. Check it out. Maybe I'll do a vacation sale. Buy stuff while I'm gone. What fun. Dan, what are you geeking on?
Well, you've mentioned that you will be going on vacation. I am officially on vacation. Friday was my last day at work for 2 weeks. So, yeah, I'm excited. This is the first time that I've been on such an extended vacation since I think I started working. Mm-hmm. At least, you know, not including the times I was unemployed. But we're going down to Disney and Universal for Jules and my 10th anniversary, and she has never really been down to Disney for a good amount of time, so she is excited and hasn't been able to sleep. And hence I haven't been able to sleep. But it's going to be a great time. We're looking forward to going down there, especially now. I think this is the first time that I've been down there since the Disney acquired Marvel and Star Wars, so looking forward to seeing what they got for that stuff.
So now, I think I don't know if I talked to you about this. I'm having a deja vu moment. But you're going down there. Are you going to be looking through the stores trying to find those exclusives? I'm thinking like they got the toys and some of the different sets and things like that.
Yeah, we'll be looking around for that. You said you were interested in the Hot Wheels stuff.
Well, there's Hot Wheels. I know Star Wars action figures. If they're just the shop only. They have staying power. They're the type of things I used to bring up to the shop and sell because people would go crazy on them. And, of course, if you got the phone app, you can check on eBay and see, is this one worth something? Or just buy it and, sit on it because you know it will be.
Yeah, usually when we don't tend to buy the stuff to, think about reselling it. We buy it because we want it.
Sure.
But it's a good idea. It's a very good idea. To do something like that.
Well,
if I find something
if you get the time to do the eBay stuff, because that'd be where you'd want to do it. It's like guys going to San Diego. They come back with all the exclusive stuff. I think I've done that a couple times and actually had my trip paid for. Obviously not Disney, but I mean, you come back and do a couple $100 back. Of course, shipping it back was always a pain in the butt.
Yeah. I bet. The other thing that I'm geeking on at the moment, though, is that, we've got that trip coming up. Actually, I was wondering, do you work on Monday? Or Tuesday?
I do, but I'm always in bags.
In the back, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I won't see you.
Well, I'd come up to give Julie a pat on.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm not officially trained in it, but, I'm willing to give it a go.
I'm sure she's willing to rate you.
Ooh, that would be harsh.
But the other cool thing is that Voltron Season 3 has just been released. In fact, as soon as we're done here, I plan on going and watching the entire thing. So I'm really excited about that. And also, right along the same time, LEGO has announced that one of their new idea sets that they're going to be doing is a Voltron set. So I'm stoked.
See, what you do, you get those Star Wars toys from Disney, come back, sell them, and that's kind of what I'm doing with my eBay sales. I just go around and buy more stuff.
That way I can afford the set, yeah.
Yeah.
Cory, how about you? What are you geeking on?
It's been an all-omnibus week here at the Solitaire Rose Compound, kids.
We were talking off the air. We're a little concerned about your omnibus addiction here, Cory.
Well, it's going to get worse.
Well, at the same time, Joe did make a point, however. The more you have, the less likely your home will be taken away when the eventual tornado hits.
Right.
Because we all know tornadoes hate mobile homes and
compound. It's a compound.
You call it what you want. I know just because it's probably taken roots in the ground, it's not going to be mobile. But nevertheless, we won't have to worry about the Strode compound because those Omnibuy will weight that sumbitch down.
Yeah.
I am not a huge fan of the Muppets.
What?
If they're on, I don't turn it off, but I don't go out of my way. But I was able to pick up the Muppets Omnibus when we were doing our Geek Day, and it's all by Roger Landridge, who also draws it. He draws and writes it. And it's so witty and so funny and so well drawn that it's making me a fan.
Oh.
Of Roger Landridge.
Oh.
One of my friends online actually posted a picture of a long-forgotten Roger Landridge Marvel book that the minute he posted it, it's like, oh, I have to reread that. Back a few years ago, Chris Samney and Roger Landridge did a Thor series that only lasted 8 issues. And he found a trade paperback of it. And that's one of the few comics that I bought all the floppies of. I didn't buy the trade, but it's available on the Marvel Unlimited app. It's Chris Samney before he did Daredevil, before he did Black Widow. It was while he was still kind of breaking in at Marvel. And it's the best Thor run other than Jason Aaron's since Walt Simonson. So if you like Thor, look that up on your Marvel Unlimited because the trade paperback's long out of print. I was looking around on the cheap omnibus on Amazon, and I saw, there's a Squadron Supreme. And it's a different price than the one I have, because I bought the Squadron Supreme omnibus a while back when Marvel was dumping their omnibuses, and I was able to get it for like $20. And I looked. Soon after they put out the Mark Grunwald Squadron Supreme, which reprints the 12-issue miniseries, the follow-up in Captain America, and the graphic novel he did that wrapped up that miniseries. A little while later, Marvel put out a complete Squadron Supreme, which has their first appearances in the Avengers, their fight with the Avengers in the 70s, the Squadron Supreme miniseries and all the stuff from that omnibus, and then the Quasar follow-up to it, and the George Perez, Mark Waid, Kurt Busiek story in the early issues of the Avengers, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's more than double the size, and they were blowing it out at like $35. So I ordered that bad boy, And I'm looking through, and man, does George Perez's art look good in an omnibus. Because the omnibuses, they use better paper and better printing. And, oh my God, his art looks so good in it. He's one of those artists who the better the printing, the better his art looks. I still remember when I saw the Avengers JLA, when they did it in the prestige format, comic size. And it was, oh, that's really good. And then I got the Absolute, which is 1.5 times the size. And it's like, oh my God, the detail you couldn't see in the original. Why haven't they done a George Perez artist edition? I have no idea. That's an artist edition I would probably sell a kidney for.
Well, we know
But
you
the
can't sell a
omnibus-
gallbladder.
No. They wouldn't even give it back to me.
It's not.
So sad.
No.
So sad.
Well, it's mine. I've had it since I was a kid.
Well, we had a fight, and I kicked it out.
You cleaned the gallbladder?
No, it cleaned up inside me.
Ah.
And I said, you're not allowed to do that. Get out.
Get out. Get out.
The other omnibus that came in box day was the Jonathan Hickman Avengers. And it's got his stuff from Avengers, New Avengers, and the Infinity miniseries, and it's all in the order he wanted it in. He went over and said this story, then this one, then this one, then this one. And, Joe and I, we praised it when it first came out. We praised it when Secret Wars came out. Having it in this nice, big format, it just reminds you of what a brilliant writer Jonathan Hickman is. Because you read those early issues, and he's following up on seeds that he planted in his first Marvel series, Secret Warriors, through his work on the Ultimate Universe, through his Fantastic Four, and then in the Avengers, where, I'm rereading it, and it's like, you see throwaway dialogue lines that feed into things that happen 50, 60 issues later. And it's like, did this guy have it all written before he even started? Before the first issue came out, did he have the whole thing written? How much of this was just planned, and how much of it was, I'll plant that there and do something with it later. But, it's so good. And it's one of those things that I know a lot of people, when the original comics were coming out, said it was confusing. In this format, when you're able to read it in order in it'll be more than one sitting, but, like a novel, it works even better. I know he's doing great stuff over at Image, but Marvel, please throw money at him to bring him back. Please. Please. And Box Day came. I haven't had a chance to go through it. That's what today will be after we're done here. But I was able to use one of my streaming services that I haven't really had time for. I've talked about it in the past. It's Filmstruck. It's a combination between Turner Classic Movies and the Criterion Collection. They're the ones who put out the Ultra Deluxe Blu-rays and DVDs. One of the things they have on there is the Criterion Collection. So, like for one of their movies, you can stream everything, all the extras, all the intros, all the director commentary. So, I filled up my wish list, but I watched a French movie that's, and among film students is considered one of the greatest. But I'd never seen it because I saw the terrible American remake, and that's the movie Breathless. An American girl falls in love with a French criminal, and was the beginning of French New Wave cinema. And normally, when you're watching a movie that's considered brilliant, you're kind of, okay, yeah, this is really good, but you don't get sucked in. You're spending the time going, ooh, look at that, and look at that. And you almost watch it like an academic. Within 5 minutes, I was no longer watching it as an academic. I was just watching it and really, really loving it. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow, which I have off, just sitting there and watching a bunch of movies. How long has it been since I did that, Joe?
I don't know. When were you on vacation last? I told you there'd be math.
Joe has finally found a Ask the Strode that there's no way I can answer.
No way.
Believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on about funny books for an hour and a half. And as we say every week, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
What is Aquaman's favorite game? Hide-and-go-seeking. Hit my music.
We done, bitches!